Hit the button. Good morning, everybody. Give me a second here. I'm setting up. As I was getting ready, some news just hit, so I'm trying to get through it all. Okay, if you could work. Hold on. There it is. Yay. And let's get you some tunes. All right, good. All right.
U.S. reporting users in the first quarter of Morris.
Well, that's what I got with the camera. So I figured out the other camera. So it is what it is. I know it's kind of bright, isn't it? So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe if I shut this, it'll be better. think that's better, right? All right. Well, this is what we got. This is what we got for bonding today. So, all right, let's go. Let me make sure the mics are going. Super late again. The amount of news coming out these days is just absolutely laughable. CEO of Workday just retired. That definitely does not inspire a lot of confidence in them, to say the least. And it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in IGV, to say the least. So I am not so sure that the software industry as a whole is going to take to that. You're going to get the comparison between that and CRM for sure. So it's not great news. It's certainly something that people are going to weigh on, to say the least. And it's definitely something that we need to pay attention to. So please, just remember that today. It's definitely a big deal. It's a much bigger deal than I think people are making it out to be. And, we'll go from there. But what we're going to do is just go to a bear chart here. And then what we're going to do is go with the ES and start there. And then I'll take a bunch of questions today because I'm super, super late. China news was super interesting. And I don't think there's much more to say about that, but I think the China news was really, really interesting. If we have our levels right here, we can see where we're at. They're stepping you down and then they rip us at the end of the day, but they are holding. If we go to the 4 hour just really, really quickly and look again, we're not really going anywhere. So I think if we just look at it from this standpoint right here and just drop this VWAP down, you're kind of running right through that. You're kind of buckshot and always looking for like, what is the one you're respecting? You're not really respecting anything here at all. You're running right through a lot of these levels. And I think that's why people are getting super frustrated. Like you're not respecting any of them. I know it's harder. I'm going to leave that right there, but I know it's definitely harder. I mean, if we took the low of this, obviously, but you haven't even tested that. So is that really an area of interest? Not really, no. So from my standpoint, I think you have to look at this and go, okay, well, what's the real rub here, or how do you trade this? I don't think you do much today until you see this stuff settle down. I think if you had to, gun to my head, what are you looking at? This control bar down in that top, and from there, you have not broken. You've just kind of stayed in here, right? So if gun to my head, I think that's what you're looking at. If I throw the RSI back in, you're not really doing anything of consequence. So this is really how I see those levels. I see that you tried to get through this bar, which obviously is that Tuesday, February 3rd bar. You tried to hold that bottom. You broke that bottom. You're trying to get to the top of it. So it's very clear that these levels are of significance. If we drop that down to, let's just go to the 5 and look at it this way. And we see how we're doing. And how are we doing? Well, we rallied all the way up and you can't even come down. Like you're hardly coming down if you look at it that way, right? And I think that's really the more important way to look at it. And if I go here and look at it that way, I think that that's truly the way that I would be approaching it. I don't know that you're going to break this. I don't know that you're going to break out. I think that you have a lot of moving parts today, like a lot. And, even from a standpoint of looking at this with fibs and other things, I would just watch the levels more than anything, more than normal, of overlaying other things. I don't think that that's going to be the best thing for us to do. And you have some stuff here we're going to go through with Japan and what's happening there. And I really got to figure out this camera. This is ridiculous. Spend all that money on that camera and I just really can't get the damn thing to work. All right, so then you can see how we tried to rally up right to that level again, and you rejected. For those that don't know, if you know, you know, but that level was up here. And from there, you used to keep holding this level, which is really 588 for the Qs. If you don't know, it's that 588 level, 585, 588 down there. and then right into that volume profile, which you are rejecting again. And I wouldn't sleep on that. I think it's really important to note that you're rejecting that and kind of go from there. I don't know that there's much more for me to say about that or to do with that, except that you are rejecting those areas. And I think that's super, super important for people to understand. If we look at that, there it is. And, here we are again, Tuesday, getting back up there, trying to get back through it, rejection, trying again, rejected. So do I think it's important to get that? Yeah, I do. I think that that's really important. And we're having a tough time. And the other thing I really don't like is how high that point of control is against here. So it actually acts as a weight. So did we get a short covering rally on Friday? You're going to find out if that's all that was. But this is what you have right now, and you're definitely trendless. So you have to use trendless techniques right now. Really, it's that buy support, sell resistance kind of movement. And a lot of people don't really like that. They want, the market to break out because it's easier to trade a trend. It's definitely easier to trade a trend. I mean, there's no doubt about it that it's easier to trade a trend than anything else, right? I mean, it just is. So let me just get to that and drop that in here as well. And then we're good to go. Anything else? That should be it. Good. But that's really how I see that. And really, what does this tie to? It ties to the Qs, which are, hitting the same levels over and over again. There's your 605, but where's that put you? You put walls down here, and then you'd have to watch how that acts. And, again, we're just really watching. And I don't think that there's much more for me to, for me to say or do here, except to continue to watch this for now and kind of see if it gets any better or, if it gets any worse. I don't see a lot of movement here that I need to really, concern myself with. A lot of 8Ks coming through today on BMNR. Interesting. So I think that that's really how I would approach it. And I think they're your big levels. That 588 was huge and you held it. And I'm seeing a lot of action now, like a lot of action that's happening really over. That's happening over the, like the after hours is insane lately. It's almost like I was watching it last night, Sunday night. It's almost like the equity market's just fully alive. It's very different than it used to be. And I think it makes it much harder for traders. I don't think being open 24/7 is the greatest idea in the world. I think it's a really bad idea. I think they should, if you want, I get why they want it because they make more money, but the volatility is freaking insane. You guys are looking at names, they're down like 10% overnight, and then you're coming in and then they're up. So, it's much harder if you don't have any depth of book there. It almost makes you wonder, like, why are you buying stocks during during the open? Just wait for like overnight trading. You're getting things so much cheaper. Sometimes it's crazy. So that's really how I see the Qs. And I really think that other than that, that's where my head is. Let's get into Japan real quick and what happened there, because I'm sure people like Jacob are going to bring it up. So if we look at something like Japan, and let's just go to the 5, and then we can see it here. Obviously, they're breaking out. Why? Because you had sweeping elections last night, and those elections are going to lead to massive reform. And that massive reform is going to lead to an increase in spending. And the increase in spending is going to be in, pardon my voice, the increase in spending is going to be in defense, particularly. But you're also looking at growth. So that growth should go into MUFG or MFG, and they should benefit from that growth. Whether you want to trade these names or not trade these names, they're not the easiest. They're not the easiest trades in the world, to say the least. But they do look like they're just going to keep on, keep it on. So until they do something different, I don't see a reason to to do anything different with them. That's kind of where my head is with it. So we'll have to see how that plays out this AM. But I'm going to take questions, I think, more than anything. And there was a article on memory last night by Semi-Analysis. You know, they really like Samsung. They're not crazy about Micron. I think they're splitting hairs, and that's why you're seeing some of that stuff down the way it is. But you know, whatever. You know, it depends what you're trying to do here. And I just think that the market in and of itself is extremely volatile, to say the least. So my sense of everything here and looking at it is I'm really curious what happens today, you know, across the board. I think when you look at this, you have to ask yourself across the board, like, how does this truly play out today? And I'm not really sure yet. You know, I'm really not. I think you want to be super careful and assuming that everything's just going to melt down. And I think you want to be super careful and assuming that everything's just going to reverse and be rosy. I think the China comment, like if we could just go back, I guess, before I take questions, I think the China comment about we're going to sell your bonds is like, you know, that's more like we're really not going to sell your bonds, but we could. So we're going to tell everyone that we could so that you remember that we can sell your bonds. Like they wouldn't telegraph that. There's no reason to. So, you know, unless you want to telegraph it, say, look what we can do, that kind of thing, right? Other than that, why in God's name would you ever telegraph that? Like there's no reason to telegraph that. Like none whatsoever. So you're going to have to give me 1 second here and then I'll be right back. I'm going to have to do something super quick because I hear an alarm going off, but let me see if I can just get past it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can do this real quick from here. What did we do before the internet? All right, let's go to here and here. Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't think that was a help. The Workday CEO quitting. I really don't. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to put. Sorry about that, guys. But if I didn't turn that thing off, I'd be going absolutely unequivocally batty. So I apologize in advance for that. I have this new setup that's driving me absolutely nuts. I really like the new setup, but it's driving me crazy. So I'm wondering here. I'm wondering if they just set us up beautifully on Friday, and I think we're about ready to find out, but we'll see how this goes. You got a lot of moving parts today, like a lot. I'm going to take questions because I could go on and on and on here. And I'll tell you right now what I'm seeing. I think that, you always want to watch these mornings when they want to flush you. You always want to watch that stuff. Like, oh, we're going to flush you. You better get out. You better, but you also got to watch this stuff like, did they just short squeeze on Friday because of the options? And I'm still not seeing signs of it yet. Like, I'm still not really seeing those signs that that's what we're seeing. But I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to see cracks. And that's making me sad. It's not making me happy. Give me one more second here. See, if we lose Bitcoin, I know this is going to sound weird, but if you lose Bitcoin today, you're going to lose the market because people are going to panic. And I actually think this thing where this guy just quit a workday is a bigger deal than we think it is. And I think they're going to really lean on this stuff because of it. So, and they're going to lean on it. So that's going to be an issue. I think that's going to be a big freaking issue. So we'll have to go from there and see how that plays out. And go from there. Let's get to some questions while we have the time. I will stay longer because I started so much later. Is that where we're at? Today's the 9th already, right? Jesus. Let's get to it. What's up, John? TPL, Bud. So I'll tell you, like the TPL is super interesting. Like super interesting. I love this name. I just don't know if I feel like going for that ride, honestly, like into all this, but I think you have to watch your levels. Like, this is really where you're at, but you are shaping up like super here. I do think that you have to watch stuff here, and I do think that it's an issue. For me, it's definitely a larger issue, and I'd be real careful here with that until you understand why it's doing what it's doing. Because you can hold that into earnings and get decimated for no reason. And that's always been my concern with it. Like the same reason that you just dropped from 320 to 280 is the same reason that you just went from 300 to 350. Like, we missed on revenue and earnings. Okay, well, you beat on earnings or revenue, but you lost. Like it defies logic, it just really does. So here you crushed and it went down. So it's a tough one, man. It's a pickle, that one. That one's a pickle to trade. It's not easy. So I'd watch that really carefully. I'd really want to watch this and see how this goes. And I don't know that I'd be jumping into that one. I'm equating Bud and XLP and all these names going up to tariff relief when it comes out. And, you're seeing like Budweiser and Pepsi and Coke and all these names rally and Walmart, right? Like you're seeing it all happen, like Walmart and Costco. And, they were talking about Lowe's in the room, and you're seeing Lowe's break out, Home Depot. And then, and then I'm watching like Philip Morris, MO, Philip Morris, BTI, and you're seeing them all break, right, and run. And they're all defensive plays. And I'm equating it to, this is so much fun to trade, but such an easy stock to just own. But anyway, so I equate it to, my sense of equating it is to the idea of, how can I say this? Tariffs and diversification out, right? But is it a hedge? Is it a complete utter hedge against tech? And the answer might be, yeah. The answer might be, yeah. So what I'm looking at, like, here's where I'm going with this. So when I look at something like an IGV, which I actually bought on Friday, it all goes back to that, because then you look at like XLP breaking out. And so you're like, well, why is it doing this? Like, why? Right. And I think it's tariff relief. That's where my head is with it. And that's why, Bud fits into that. Your Monster fits into that. Like, it all fits it, right? It's like, it's all connected. It could be the other side of that trade. It could just be the side of, hey, we think the market's going to roll and we're being defensive. And that's a very different spot to be in. So when I look at something like that, it's definitely a reason to give me pause. When I look at this market and I watch, like, the other thing that's bothering me a lot is that these moves are so freaking vicious. Like, they're just, you can come in with a name that you absolutely love and you're like, oh, it's down $17. Why? Oh, no news. Like, there's no depth of book. So to go tie it all together, that's why I think you're seeing names like Budweiser and people are just looking at this going, you know what? I want to be in the market. I want to own brand names. I want to own names that people are going to buy. And I'm going to buy Budweiser. I'm going to buy Pepsi. I'm going to buy Monster Energy. That's where I think this is. I think I might be missing that part of it. But if that's the case, then if it reverses, then what? But then the other side of that is what's going to make it reverse. What's going to get people into this market. And what one of the things that I'm seeing this morning is, I'm really surprised that you've got no freaking bid here, like, at all, like none. Like, there's no bid here whatsoever. So in this stuff, and after Friday, you have no follow through. So is that being done for retail in the morning, or is this a real issue? And I think that's where my head's going right now. I'm trying to figure that part of it out. And I don't have an answer to that yet, because that stuff can reverse on you fast, man. So, yeah, I don't know that sitting on the sidelines is the worst thing here, because I see a lot of 2-step forward and then 1 step back. But I think if the people that are doing like 2-step forwards and they're hitting the sell button and getting out of the way, like, that's what's working. Make it, get out of the way, go on to the next one. And until we get a trend, I think that's what you're going to be dealing with. As much as I'm always early with this stuff, John. Like, I'm always early. Like, I've been doing this 27 freaking years. And if I know one thing about myself, I'm early. So when I'm looking at something here and I'm trying to catch that, it's because I'm thinking about what it looks like in a month. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't break 79 and I get stopped out, blah, blah, blah. But it's just, I'm technically early usually with these bottoms. And I'm not really sure what the thing is that's going to stop this, and this thing of the CEO quitting today, it's a hell of a time to quit, man. Like, this is your quitting now. Like, no, things are fine. I quit. It's not what you wouldn't walk away from all that money. Like, you just would, maybe they told him he had to go. You never know, but there's something there, and you're quitting before earnings. Like, Jesus, like, you're not even waiting to make the announcement. Okay. So, my thought on software now might be that Jesus might be worse than I thought it was on the software side. What's up, JL? UA, I like. I have a position in UA. I haven't done anything with it. I thought this was an absolute no-brainer when you saw that guy come in, and I think he bought 28% of the company, and all he's done is just do what he said he was going to do, which is pretty much fix up the damn company. You had earnings, the stock's gone nuts. I don't know why people were shocked by this, like this revival of the company. I mean, you had a guy come in and dump, hundreds of millions of dollars into the company, sit on the board, keep increasing his stake. This is what I always say about like fundamental analysis. Like nobody's doing this stuff and there's a lot of money in it. But, I think we bought this in the community at like $5. Hold on. Jan 5th. We were buying it before that, but Jan 5th, $5.30 we paid. So I'm not doing anything with it. I don't think there's anything for me to do, Jay. Like, he just started turning this thing around. So I think there's a lot more, that he could do there. So I don't really see a sense of me doing a lot there with it, just leaving it alone. ASTS crowd, this gets really interesting because it's like ASTS, I can't really buy things that are breaking down like that. What really bothers me is this. And again, I'm just going to say it, like you're clearly rolling over, attempting to roll over. You have these moves where it's like, oh, here's $10. And yeah, you can trade it, you can take it, but you're breaking levels like here. If I just did the simplest thing and I drop it to this, right? And I love this name. And we've had guys in the room that have just absolutely slaughtered it on this name, and I just dropped that to there, which is the top of that level. What do you see? I see a break. I see I tried to get through and I failed. I tried to get through again. I failed. I tried again and I failed. So, do you break out of this or, because that's like a typical undercut rip, or do you go? I don't really have an answer to it. I think you really need to watch this and make a better decision on how that's going to play out this morning and then kind of go from there. But I don't really think that, let me just see something. I don't really think that you have to be rushing into this stuff. And when I start looking at like UFO, and that was the break that I was going through, and I showed people this on the weekly too, how you're setting up here. And when you start seeing this stuff, you start seeing it in your freaking dreams, but you're cracking like hard. So please understand that. And so I want to go through some of these names because I think it's pretty fascinating. So if the IGV bounces, I don't think it's CrowdStrike. I truly don't. It could be, but I don't see it. I think that people are too scared. I think that if you bounce, you almost have to look at PLTR. But if you look at that kind of chart and you're looking at PLTR, I think that you're doing yourself a huge, huge disservice. And I can't stress that enough. So give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So sorry about that, guys. All right. So it just makes me think, like, why would I look at these? Now, what's interesting too is the hood bouncing with what? So why did hood move? Right? Like, why did it move? Same reason coin moved, same reason MSTR moved, right? And what kind of sucks out are we getting this morning? We're getting, Bitcoin in the face. So all right, what else you got? What else? Where are we? The hood. I only if Bitcoin goes up. Other than that, doesn't matter to me. What's up, Bam? Yeah, I think XLP names. I think I'm underestimating this. Honestly, I do. I think I'm really underestimating this. I don't know what happens with earnings, honestly, obviously, but I'm really thinking that I'm underestimating what's happening here. So I want to watch this really closely today. I don't know that was just a short squeeze on Friday, but I'm a little concerned about the way that we can't even find a bid on some of this stuff. And we're going to have to watch this closely. I'm also like, I was really looking at this weekend, even looking at charts, it's getting to the point where you have to start using after hours data. It's getting harder and harder. Yeah, I saw the EWJ. I'll tell you what I was looking at there. I was really looking at not that so much as just the banks are going to kill it. Like the shackles are going to come off the banks there. And I was thinking about it from that standpoint. EWY really not benefiting today. EWI looks fantastic to me, but you should do what you're comfortable with. EWL, guys, I'm going to have to jump here in a minute. That makes sense as well. It's anybody's guess, man. Like I came in this morning thinking you're going to see some kind of hold, some kind of rally in IGV, something, and we're not, right? And I'm looking at what's happening this morning, and I'm not thinking that we're there yet, man. Like I think that there might be another leg down here, to be honest with you. Especially in the IGV, if you're going to start losing CEOs, like you don't just start losing, like you don't want to give those jobs up. No, I don't believe any of that. I think it's a bunch of crap. I mean, I'm sorry you spent $5 on that, but I'll answer it. It goes to St. Jude's anyway. I think it's an absolute bunch of crap. I actually thought that you could see, this was my thought process with Bitcoin. So I have a long here and I have a long in MSTR, and I married a put to it in case this happened. Then I can unwind the long and keep the put, figure out what I want to do, right? But I'll tell you exactly where my head is with this, and what I think is like super important. I thought that you might get stabilization because people thought MSTR was going to fall apart. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to get stabilization, but you're not seeing it this morning, like at all, like not even close. So what you're doing is you're seeing an implosion, and you're starting to actually crack here. And that's not really, what you're looking for out of these names. So for me, I covered a lot of these shorts and Circle and a lot of these names on Friday. I did very well with them, but you're going to have to watch these lower lows today on all that stuff and see if you start cracking that stuff. Because if you do, you're going to have a problem. And if MSTR can't hold here, it needs to hold here, because if you start cracking, like really cracking, you're going to get people that are just going to de-risk. And it's not a MSTR issue, right? It's a It's a function of the market issue. And that's what I don't think people are getting. They're going to de-risk their portfolios because of it. And meaning they're just going to reduce across the board, just their net exposure. And that's where the problem comes in. So we did not get world peace. Look at it. People like that. We're going to put that on a t-shirt. I'm just going to go to the end of this real quick. And The Way of the Turtle is a fantastic book. So AI is a game changer. You just have to realize what it's doing, but it's definitely a game changer. People love that. Options trading, there's like so I was a registered options principal for like 9 years. Let me find this book because, and let me find this. So I had it out because when I was doing the onboarding calls, if you are on the list to get in, please look for an email. It's going out in small batches. That's the book you want to buy. That's what that was like our options Bible. And it's a fantastic book. It's boring. It's 1,000 pages, but you can actually use it as a guide too. And you can even go get a study guide. It actually has a study guide that comes with it. Guys, I got to jump. I'm super late and there's a lot going on. Trade to win today. Make good choices.